Helping Your Child Learn to Read, a Parent Guide. Hi parents, here at St Nicholas School, we would like to invite you on a journey with us to help your child master the lifelong skill of reading. Welcome to this presentation, Helping Your Child Learn to Read, a Parent Guide. We hope the following information will assist parents to support teachers with the task of teaching our children to read. In this presentation, we will outline 5 big ideas or main areas that we focus on when teaching a child to read. Phonemic awareness and phonics, supported reading, pause, prompt and praise, storybook reading, and sight words. We hope you gain a few helpful tips from this presentation as we work together in partnership to give your child the best education possible. Phonemic awareness and phonics.
What is phonemic awareness? Phonemic awareness is a subset of phonological awareness. So what that means is if you look at the pink umbrella diagram on the screen, that is representing phonological awareness. And that's the broad concept that relates to the structure of spoken language. Underneath, we have all the substrands that students need to have an understanding of in order to achieve phonological awareness. So pink umbrella. These are word awareness, rhyme, syllables, onset and rhyme, and lastly, phonemic awareness. And phonemic awareness relates specifically to the individual phonemes. So phonemes meaning the individual sounds that form the words of Australian English. We have 43 phonemes in Australian English, and with phonemic awareness, no writing is involved. So students can do phonemic awareness with their eyes closed. So what are phonics? Well, phonics is the understanding that there is a systematic connection between the phonemes heard in oral language and the graphemes. So they're the letter or letter combinations we use to represent each sound in writing. It's also used to describe the teaching of reading and spelling by focusing on a sound to letter correspondence. Unlike phonological awareness, phonics activities integrate sound and print. So phonemic awareness can be done with your eyes closed. Phonics brings in the writing aspect. Now, Australian English. There are 43 phonemes or sounds. We have 24 consonant sounds and 19 vowel sounds in Australian English. A lot of you may think we only have 26 sounds. However, we have 26 letters that form the alphabet. So we're using these letters to represent the spoken sounds of Australian English. For example, if you think of the letter A, a lot of you might think A says A, as in apple. In the word was, the A is saying an op sound. In the word after, the A is saying an R sound. And in the word pizza, the A is making a sound. Now, I've already referred to these. These are the 2 key terms the students use at school. So instead of saying sounds, we say the word phoneme. And a phoneme is a single sound of a language. Easiest way to remember is if you put one of your hands in a phone-like position and hold that up to your ear. Think of being on the phone, it's what you hear. So in the word cat, we count how many phonemes we can hear. So how many sounds we can hear. K, a, t. There's 3 sounds, or we say 3 phonemes. A grapheme is a letter or letter combination that we use to represent each individual sound in written form. So if we go back to the word cat, where we had our 3 sounds, the k phoneme can be represented by the C grapheme. The A phoneme can be represented by an A, and the T can be represented by a T. So easiest way to remember this as well, grapheme, think of like a graph, it's what you're writing down. As previously mentioned, phonemic awareness can be done with your eyes closed. So here are some games that from a young age students start working on, starting with isolation and then moving through to manipulation activities. So students are asked in isolation, what is the first sound in cat? What is the last sound in fish? And what is the middle sound in sit? So games like that where you're finding the individual sound in a word. Then we move on to blending, where we blend those sounds together. So in our word pan, we go pan. And then segmenting is where we start counting the individual sounds. So how many sounds in at? There's 2, at. How many sounds in cat? And manipulation. That's where we're creating other words by removing a phoneme. And this is where we're also exploring onset and rhyme. So what word do we get if we take the k from cat? Counting sounds. This is helping students with their segmenting by being able to count the sounds before progressing to phonics, which is selecting appropriate graphemes to write on paper. We teach the students 4 steps when segmenting words. First thing is to look at the word. If it's in front of them, then close their eyes or look away. We encourage this as we don't want them to be influenced by the number of letters in the word. Then we get the students to say the word aloud slowly and naturally. For example, yellow. After you've said the word once, you will then say it again, but as phonemes. So we encourage students to make a fist and put 1 finger up for each sound they hear. I go back to the word yellow, y, e, u, o. So I have 4 fingers up. I know there are 4 sounds in the word yellow. As you can see by the words on the screen, we can then return to the word we were segmenting and either write the number 4, or we can represent the number of sounds using tallies. Can you see why it's important for students to look away from the word when segmenting? As the word yellow, it has 6 letters, but only has 4 sounds. Process for reading. For students to decode, so to be able to read the words in front of them, it's vital they know all 43 sounds of Australian English. At school, infants do a chant and action song daily to get them familiar with the sounds. For reading, we get them to segment the word into its individual graphemes. Next, using the knowledge of the 43 sounds, they can allocate an appropriate sound to each grapheme before blending the sounds together. Process for writing. The process for writing words is flipped around, as the word may not be there in front of them. Instead, they're told the word. Again, they say the word aloud, then listen and count the sounds, and then they choose the correct grapheme to represent the phoneme. Students are taught lots of spelling hints at school to help them when selecting appropriate graphemes. Segmenting into graphemes. One way the students practice segmenting at school, and you can do this at home, it's by drawing boxes or using word strips. So again, we encourage students to count the sounds first and then draw that number of boxes if you're drawing them, or you can pop a dot above each box in the row if using a word strip, before selecting appropriate graphemes to put in each box. Now remember, a grapheme can be a letter or a letter combination. For instance, if we look at the word yellow, we know there's 4 sounds, but the double L is together. That's a letter combination. They have to be together to make that oo sound. So any of the words on the screen you can see right now with letters, more than one letter in a box, they are all together to make that sound. And it's really important to note that students do not write the word whilst counting the sounds. Because if they were doing that with yellow, they would end up with 6 filled boxes rather than the 4. So they must count the sounds first in order to know how many boxes they will use to represent the sounds. Voiced and unvoiced sounds. So with the 43 sounds, we have voiced, where you make a sound when saying the phoneme, and that includes all vowel sounds. They are all voice sounds. And then you have unvoiced, and that's where only air comes out of your mouth. Our consonants are a mixture of voiced and unvoiced sounds. This is really important as a lot of people think when they hear the sound k in a word, they will actually say k. The same with p. They will voice the sound p. The tip we teach the students is to rest our hand on our throat. And when we create a voice sound in the words, where we're bringing out our voice, we will be able to feel vibration. When we say unvoiced sounds, there is no vibration. So we say we're turning off our voice and it's like we're whispering.